the owner. With the new Catch of the Week VIP discount card, everyone gets the VIP treatment. Spend $100, get $200 in discount and value, and it never expires.
Catch of the Week, Edmonton's best seafood. Just off the Henday in Capilano, only 5 minutes from Sherwood Park. Details and directions at catchoftheweekedmonton.com.
The world doesn't stop. Neither should your news. TuneIn keeps you connected with live news coverage from every corner of the globe as it happens. From breaking updates to expert analysis, hear every angle from known stations like BBC, NPR, Fox News Radio, CNN, and more. Wherever you are, TuneIn is your front row seat to the news that's shaping the world. Download the TuneIn app to listen or search news on TuneIn to stay in the know.
It might have been scraped by the snowblower, dented while door crashing, or crunched at the company Christmas party. At some point over the winter, your car was damaged and it's been hiding under a coat of winter grime.
Then come and see Robertson Body Works. We can take care of the damage and the dirt. This week only, call and book a repair and get a complete auto detailing absolutely free.
But you have to book your appointment before the week is up. Go to RobertsonBodyWorks.com.
I'm Tim Robertson, and I fix cars.
Get ready, outdoor enthusiasts, for the Kalmar Gun Show. Head to the Kalmar Hockey Arena today from 10 till 6, tomorrow 10 till 3 for the premier event to buy, sell, and trade the best in hunting and sporting gear. Visit HuntManiaShows.com.
This is Hoop City with Paul Sir on Sports 1440.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! We did it!
Here's your host, Paul Sir.
Welcome back to Hoop City. Paul Sir. It's a traveling Wilbury weekend. Handle with care for this super group. I'll talk more about them later. But right now, Josh, are we good to go with Laura and with Evan? Okay, I'd like to welcome Laura from the EFCL and Evan from Sport Edmonton for our Community Champions segment. Community Champions is sponsored by Innovative Benefits. If it's time for you to review your company benefits and personal insurance plans or investment strategies, talk to Randy Parrish and his tremendous team at Innovative Benefits. They will give you straightforward and honest advice with access to the very best products in the industry. Trust the great folks at Innovative Benefits to do what's best for you, your family, and your business. To find out more, go to innovativebenefits.ca. And I'd like to welcome in Laura. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Paul.
Great to have you both here. Laura, I'm going to start with you. We'll talk about the event towards the end of our segment, but Laura, talk about your role first of all, talk about the Edmonton Federation of Community League, what your mandate is, the work you do, a bit of the history, if you don't mind, and of course, then what your role is.
You bet, Paul. So Edmonton Federation of Community Leagues is here to support 163 community leagues across the city of Edmonton. We were 163. Yeah, we were created in 1921 and 105 years later, we're still going. So it's incredible. And I'm always inspired, Paul. Since I've been here 8 years now, we formed 6 new community leagues across the city. So Fantastic. This is a model and a way of being in Edmonton that is unique and is something that's really important for Edmontonians. And so we're here to support them. We're here to make connections with other organizations to help uplift the work that leagues are doing. we've got probably close to 9,000 volunteers across the city who are volunteering their time, about 300,000 hours every year, to just keep these places going. So keep the doors open, keep the lights on, make sure those places are activated, that they've got programs and activities for people to do close to home. That's the whole idea of community leagues, is things to happen close to where you live and connect with those neighbors. So we're thrilled to be here today, Paul, and talk about the tournament that's coming up.
Well, Laura, thrilled to have you with us. And I would say about the Edmonton Federation of Community Leagues, when my family first moved to Edmonton back in the late 80s, and my sons started to get to the age when they were going to be involved in basketball. Community League basketball, as it was known then, was the thing. It's
That's
evolved
great.
into the Edmonton Youth Basketball Association, but it used to be just the community leagues. And Bill
Interesting.
Babelwall,
Yeah.
I remember going over to Bill's house on Friday afternoon, and he had cards all over his living room with all the schedules and trying to herd the cats all around the city to get them to basketball games. But it was such a meaningful part, certainly, of our family's basketball journey. And to see the fine work and the important work that's done today by a whole bunch of people, yourself included, Laura, and the staff that you work with, walking the walk, it is really something special.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, sports were really fundamental to leagues for many, many years. And, the sports world's changed. I'm sure we'll get into that with Evan a bit too, but the sports world's changed in Edmonton. But I think, we're seeing now an interest in especially that sort of easy to access, very accessible sport being back close to home. Families are stretched a lot right now. Traveling across the city is very normal for people who have kids in sports, and we're seeing an interest in bringing that back a little closer to home, having opportunities, in people's neighborhoods for them to, do the 3-on-3, a little bit of shinny hockey, whatever sport it is. How can leagues step back into sport in a way that's accessible for them, that's not going to burn them out, but make sure that, people have things to do and places to go and people to connect with close.
And I would just add one more factor to that, and that doesn't cost a lot of money to do.
Absolutely.
Like you said, there's families are stretched both fiscally and time-wise.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that is what I love the most about the EFCL, and I like the fact that the pendulum has, which swung completely to club to organizational participation. Now the pendulum is coming back to, as you're describing, Laura, the community and easy access to recreation that is in your neighborhood and isn't expensive. That's really important. And I think that's a great segue to bring Evan into this. Evan, you've of course been involved in sport in a variety of levels throughout your career, now heading up the Sport Edmonton. And Sport Edmonton has always been a bit of an enigma. I think for a lot of people who know of Sport Edmonton, for a lot of years, under Gary's leadership, which, he put a lot of time and energy into trying to galvanize sport in the community. But no, I don't think he really had a clear mandate or a clear direction. Reed Clark stepped in, I think, set off a lot of momentum in terms of making noise about Sport Edmonton and trying to get people to rally together in the sport community. But what I see you doing, Evan, is trying to really clearly identify what Sport Edmonton can be in this community as a connector.
Yeah, well, thanks for that, Paul, and thanks for having me on. We're certainly excited about what the future holds for Sport Edmonton. We're a civic agency responsible for working with the city on sport and recreation issues. That's sort of our big mandate and our overarching sort of reason for existing. And then finding ways for us to actually, bring some life to the community level of sport and bring some connectivity, which you said, which is really the key thing that we're trying to do, which is to connect the right people with other people, and set the table for organizations to have success and to get kids playing and to get adults playing as well, and making sure that all of the various silos that are involved in sport talk to each other in one form or another. And that's a pretty big task. There's no question about it. It's a disjointed space. I don't think there's any way to get around that fact. But what we're trying to do is to look at it from a 360-degree view and understand these are the people that should work together. These are the different connections that make sense. This is how it plays together with the city's vision. And I say that as, administration's approach, council's priorities, who are the major community players that we should be working with. One of the first that I identified was EFCL, and been great to work with Laura on a variety of different things, sort of holistically on that play where you live concept, which she touched on, and which is, I think at times we've lost sight at a high level as to why we're involved in sport and recreation. It's because it's fun. It's because it's good for you. Like, fundamentally, those are the two reasons that you do it. And it builds an immense sense of community when you're playing with your neighbors. So we want to get back to that, and we want to be able to connect the right people to make those things happen, in small pockets. And then it takes a large community to make noise about that and say, this is what we want. So, that's what we're trying to do. And there's a variety of different mechanisms that we're trying to accomplish that connectivity through, specifically on how do we use local community sport events? How do we elevate them? How do we integrate a community mindset? How do we integrate, a return to the economy and making sure that we're doing things that are beneficial to Edmontonians holistically, whether it's accessibility, affordability, and to the businesses that sustain our city. So when I say it like that, it sounds like a lot of work, and it's going to be, but I'm up for the challenge with good partners, including yourself and Laura and a whole host of others.
You're listening to Hoop City with Paul Sir, Josh Fenwick on Sports 1440, Laura from EFCL, and Evan from Sport Edmonton join me today. I was trying to think of how I could encapsulate what we're going to talk about in terms of our event that we're working on together, the Hoop City 3x3 EFCL Festival, which will be happening down at the Fan Park on July 11th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. It will be open to U13 to U18 age groups. There'll be a boys division and a girls division. It's $75 to join. And quite honestly, if that $75 is a problem for any team, just contact us. We will make sure that you play. The goal is not to make money. It is to make sure that you play. And we want to highlight and celebrate the community league. We want to, but we also want to do, and this is Laura and Evan, the idea that I came up with is that what you're both trying to do, and what my organization, the 3x3 Basketball Association, are trying to do, along with other great organizations in the city, is to plant strategic and intentional mustard seeds that have the opportunity to take root and slowly and steadily grow into something much bigger. But you have to start with the little mustard seed. And we've been talking about this, Laura, for a number of years. And we finally got the cats in the corral. Yep. And we have great partners: the Oilers Entertainment Group, the Oilers Foundation, City, Downtown Vibrancy. We've got great partners who are buying into the notion behind 3x3, which has a very long tradition now in Edmonton. We are elite globally and certainly nationally in 3x3. But bringing the community in, that's what's exciting about this event.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. We're excited about this too. And I think you're right. It's become a bit of a perfect storm, right? Sometimes, we have conversations and it's trying to sort out how we can make things work. And I think, to our point earlier, leagues have not been in the space lately of putting together teams just with the kids that are in the neighborhood, right? So soccer is a great example, but people do intentionally register for soccer. It's got a long history in our community, and it's a really important partner for all of our organizations. But basketball is new in that community space. And so I'm excited because we've got 25 basketball courts on league land across the city. That's not including the ones that sit right beside a league at the school. Those are additional ones. So there's a lot of opportunity, I think, with 3-on-3 or 3x3 to really get kids active, have some fun, and I think this festival is really going to kick that off and build some good connections, right? Get people talking, thinking about 3-on-3, what they can do right at home. So I'm excited, Paul. I think it's going to be fun.
Well, and I love the way you framed that, Laura, because that would be the desired outcome, is that along with the kids that can come and play and have a great time playing, we're hoping community organizers will be curious enough, because the great thing about 3x3 is, and you know what, and 3x3 to me is an overarching view, because it can be one person with a basketball. It can be 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3x3. It can be 4-on-4. It doesn't it doesn't have boundaries attached to it. It shows the versatility of basketball.
Mm,
And what I love about this sport is everybody who participates has to dribble, pass, and shoot. You can't hide like what happens in organized 5-on-5 basketball.
right.
And you get one or two great players and other kids that may be behind in their development
Right.
that end up running down the court and never touching the ball. This, you can't hide.
You
You're a
can't
part.
hide. You're part of it. I love it. I think that's great, Paul. Yeah.
And Evan, from your vantage point, like, you're trying to bring Sport Edmonton into this, I think is so critical from my vantage point, because I've been familiar with the unfolding of Sport Edmonton. James Rosnow, who took over as the president of the board of directors, and I think really tried to guide the ship into a new, more strategic direction. And, I think what you're doing now is taking the work Gary did, leading into James, leading into Reed, now into yourself, leading and guiding this forward of picking strategic points of entry to really find ways to connect, like you described before, because you're not in the event business, you're in the connection business. And this is one of the sports of many that Sport Edmonton can help people connect with.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Paul. And we're not in the running of events or running of programs. We're in the let's create some connections, let's have some ideas, and let's lay the foundation to allow those events and programs to succeed and become sustainable and to benefit Edmontonians. So, with your event, and I've said this to you privately, but I strongly believe that basketball is one of the sports in our city, particularly around 3x3, that has the greatest potential to achieve the things that I think we all want to see, which is accessibility. That's accessibility in terms of finances. That's in terms of the number of people you need to make a team. That's in terms of where it's delivered, whether that's through the Community League's 25 courts, which I think are tremendous civic resources for us, or if that's a large scale event that we host at a place like Expo Center and we get courts in there. We do some big things. Like, it's time for us to have some meaningful conversations as people within the sport and community building spaces as to what we want to get out of it. And I take it back to sort of my two fundamental points, which is it's fun and it's good for you. And, those are really important things in life, whether you're 6 years old or 60 years old. If you don't have fun and you don't do things that are good for your physical health, that's not what you're looking for. You need those things in your life, from playground to podium, we talk about as well. It's like, we cannot forget the fundamental reason why we're all involved in sport and recreation. And that's not to say there's not a time and a place for large scale events and club events and competitions and getting better and honing your skills. But you better start dribbling at a community league court before you're playing, at MSG in game 4 of the NBA finals, right? Like, it's got to start somewhere. And that's where I think it should start. That's just fundamentally what I believe, is it should start with your neighbors. It should start down the street, and it can lead you to big places.
It could lead you to big places, and it also can lead you to the important small places that you and Laura are both describing in terms of community connection, in terms of physical health and well-being. I referred to the pendulum metaphor earlier. I think the way the pendulum has swung over time with the switch from Community League to Edmonton Youth Basketball Association. They do a great job switching to all of the clubs that are around the city, and the emphasis on programmed play and learning being the exclusive way that you play basketball. And I think that's the way the pendulum has swung. And I think what's swinging back, as you indicated, Laura, in your comments, is now people are becoming more aware. Wait a second, I can play close to home, and I don't need to spend all that money. And by the way, not every kid's going to go to college or on to something else. Maybe there's something just about unorganized or loosely organized or smaller organized events that has its charm and fun, and going and tying it into your comment too. It's got to be fun, and it's got to be good for you, Evan, like you said before.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. And, we're seeing, we've seen our schools change, right? Kids don't go to the same school. There's neighborhood schools don't exist in the same way in our city anymore. So I think it is vital. We are seeing such a time of disconnection, and I think we're seeing a time of people wanting to reconnect and really recognizing that I don't want my kids traveling across the city to visit friends. I want them just walking down the street, right? You know, I often hear about people saying, oh, I remember in the old days when you knew where the kids were because you saw the pile of bikes on the sidewalk. And that doesn't happen as much anymore because our kids don't know each other. And so community leagues are that place where people can reconnect again. Those kids can get to know each other. And if it's a 3x3 court, on a Saturday afternoon, I think that's amazing, right? I mean, it keeps them busy, keeps them connected. Then when they are out in the community, people know them. That keeps our community safer. People know each other. All those things really contribute to vibrant places across our city. Doesn't matter if you're in an older neighborhood or a newer neighborhood, right? When you go out and you meet people that you recognize, you feel a better sense of connection, you feel safer, and it can all start with 3x3. It's incredible, right? But you can see how that grows so quickly.
It really can. That was really, really well put, Laura. And the only thing I would add to it as well is one of the other big benefits is it gets kids off screens.
Yeah,
and that's a huge
absolutely.
problem. And I mean, and I think societally we are aware now as we watch across the globe.
Yes.
Countries are banning screen usage for young people because now we're seeing this is a genuine threat to the socialization skills the kids are developing.
Absolutely.
What better socialization settings than physical activity among people in your community?
Yeah.
So I'm going to give each of you a final comment. Evan, any final comments?
I'm just excited for this and a variety of other things that are percolating, sort of behind the scenes. I think there's more to come in this space. And it's not to say we're waxing poetically about, the good old days on everything, but there are certainly elements that we need to bring back. And there's then a time and a place for all of these different ways to engage in sport and recreation. And I think we need more of these grassroots, homegrown, build it in your neighborhood approaches because they're going to complement the whole system, frankly. And, the bigger the funnel is, the more, the more you're going to push out at the other end, whether that's elite level athletes or people who are playing club or just people who play for life, right? Mm-hmm. If you have a whole segment of the population that plays when they're young, there's a greater likelihood that a good number of them are going to play when they're in their adulthood or into their later years. So, very passionate about, the things that we're trying to work on and accomplish collectively. And that's, I guess, the big emphasis from me is that there's lots of good ideas in isolation. And oftentimes when they're in isolation, they stay there and they don't actually blossom. So it's ideas like this where you work collectively with 3 or 4 heads on a screen and you get things done. So very excited about the event in July that you're putting on and the role that we can play and how it can be a little bit of a seed for more to come.
Well, well put. A couple of quick thoughts. Ebbs and flows. Yes, you can't go back to the good old days, but you can learn from the good old days and implement what worked then that still fits in now. That's number one. And number two, you do need megaphones trumpeting this message loudly, consistently, and impactfully in order to get people to realize and understand that just because this is they're being bombarded with about you got to do it this way, you don't. You really don't. You can do it another way and have as much or more fun at a lot less cost and a lot more personal benefit. Laura, over to you. Final thoughts.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Evan. I mean, I think we've said it all, right? I mean, I think I'm excited for the next chapter here together. I think these sort of relationships and opportunities when we as organizations can come together trickle throughout our city and we have great impact across our city. So, but it's not Evan and I that are running all these things. It's people that live in communities who feel passionate about these things that get inspired and say, I can do this too. And I think that's part of what EFCL has always been about, is that civic leadership is, how can you step in and how can you step up and how can you make your neighborhood greater? And I think this is just one of those pieces, and sport is a huge part of lots of people's lives, and there's lots of great things about it. And I'm just excited to see this chapter to grow again. So yeah, thanks, Paul. Thanks, Evan, for all your support with the community leagues and sport in general. Yeah.
Laura from the Edmonton Federation of Community Leagues and Evan from Sport Edmonton, thanks so much today. Again, the event is Hoop City 3x3 EFCL Basketball Festival down at the Fan Park on July 11th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. $75 into your team. Like I said, if you have a problem with that, if you can't afford it, just let us know. We want you to play. You can have up to 5 players on your teams. We got all the different age categories. The admission into the grounds is free. It's going to be a phenomenal time. So we're looking forward to seeing everybody there. Evan, Laura, thank you again for joining us today. Really excited about the upcoming event.
Thanks for the invitation, Paul. It's great to be here. Yeah.
Thanks,
Have a good day.
Evan and Laura, I'll tell you, everybody, like you talk about one word that always comes back to me about, especially it's kind of the purity of the message of the Edmonton Federation of Community Leagues, and that there's a humility there. Like Laura talked about all the volunteer hours that people put in, the hundreds of thousands of hours. These are people walking the walk who see value in their time and energy, and they're not doing it for the glory or the notification, or the notoriety rather. Of what they're doing. They're doing it to contribute. And so we just have to continue this process of trumpeting it so it doesn't replace, but it wedges its way back into, I think, the fabric of the sports landscape in the city, where people can make more robust, healthy choices that, again, are more affordable. Because a lot of times I feel bad for kids who love a particular sport, but don't have their family doesn't have the ability to pay the price. We got to provide them the opportunities. And these two organizations, EFCL has the facilities, can do the work on the ground, and Sport Edmonton is a supporting organization to broaden the reach and impact of sport to provide more opportunities for people across the city. Great conversation. Very, very grateful to Laura and Evan. Speaking of grateful, Zane Sweeney's in the studio. I'm grateful that he's here today. We're going to talk about another 3x3 endeavor right after this break. You're listening to Hoop City with Paul Sir, Josh Fenwick, on your sports leader, Sports 1440.
When you hit the ice, it's all about you and your skates. The stride, the feel, the glide, the power, the performance. Why trust your skates to a grinding machine, or even worse, a tournament parent in a parking lot? At Aligned Custom Skate Performance in Sherwood Park, the art of skate fitting and sharpening is customized to the athlete.
Aligned Custom Skate Performance, where precision meets passion. Oh.
Visit AlignedSkate.com to learn more.
The wait is over. The doors have opened. The savings have begun. Lazy Boy Furniture Gallery's biggest sale to date. The savings are unbelievable. After 30 years, Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries are closing both locations to prepare for the contractors. Over $10 million of quality Lazy Boy furniture has been marked down. Interest-free financing is available. Everything must be sold. Don't miss it. The remodeling sale on now at both Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries locations in the West End on 170th and South Edmonton Common.
Saturday mornings live on Sports 1440. Powered by Subaru. Confidence in motion. Visit Subaru.ca. Big guests, bigger takes. Jason Greger brings the names you know and the stories you don't. Weekdays 2 to 6 on Sports 1440. Don't miss a minute of the action on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440.
The world doesn't stop. Neither should your news. TuneIn keeps you connected with live news coverage from every corner of the globe as it happens. From breaking updates to expert analysis, hear every angle from known stations like BBC, NPR, Fox News Radio, CNN, and more. Wherever you are, TuneIn is your front row seat to the news that's shaping the world. Download the TuneIn app to listen or search news on TuneIn to stay in the know.
It might have been scraped by the snowblower, dented while door crashing, or crunched at the company Christmas party. At some point over the winter, your car was damaged and it's been hiding under a coat of winter grime.
Then come and see Robertson Body Works. We can take care of the damage and the dirt. This week only, call and book a repair and get a complete auto detailing absolutely free.
But you have to book your appointment before the week is up. Go to RobertsonBodyWorks.com.
I'm Tim Robertson, and I fix cars.
This is Hoop City with Paul Sir on Sports 1440.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! We did it!
Here's your host, Paul Sir.
Traveling Wilburys weekend. If you haven't listened to the Traveling Wilburys, you're missing something in your life, an essential building block in your life. Traveling Wilburys, started by George Harrison, of course, of the Beatles, brought in the late great Tom Petty, the late great Roy Orbison, and along with the omnipresent, bigger than life Bob Dylan, and then the lead singer of the Electric Light Orchestra, and I'm drawing a blank right now, Jeff Lynne. Thank you. Jeff Lynne, who's phenomenal. We had an ELO weekend a couple of weekends ago. But the Traveling Wilburys, they put out 2 albums. It was this all-star band, kind of done on a whim, just for giggles. And they came up with some classic songs. If you listen to the song I just played last night by the Traveling Wilburys with Tom Petty doing the main lead on it, Roy Orbison has a couple of good little solo pieces in it. Hilarious lyrics. A lot of their lyrics, I think, were written in a drunken stupor or something, because they're very whimsical and very almost childlike. But some of the music, some of the instrumentation is just phenomenal. So, speaking of phenomenal, I have this phenomenal Zane Sweeney with us right now.
Wow.
Zane, of course, works with Legacy Athletics, and along with his partner and buddy Brett Jakovic, they have started a marvelous facility on the south side of Edmonton. You guys used to be over near Wagner High School. Then you moved to the south side. What's the address again?
9748 12th Avenue Southwest.
Yeah, so 974. So yeah, you're out there a ways, but man, when you get there, it is worth the drive. They've got a great facility, but I think more than that, the facility is just the starting point for a wealth of programs. You've got kids leagues, adult leagues. You've got leagues for every age and group, clinics. You work closely with all the associations, and one of the great qualities I think of Legacy is that you're a collaborator in a community, the club community. And with all due respect to the people I'm dissing here, a lot of them are silo operators where you're a collaborator trying to work with clubs and doing a very good job of it.
Wow. Yeah, I appreciate that. We joke that we like to be Switzerland as much as possible. And I say that wearing a hat branded with our own club that, we work with as well. But yeah, we really do try to be in the middle, very collaborative, and just try to bring as many people together as possible.
Well, and I think one of the characteristics that always comes out when you view club sports across the whole panacea of sports is that the attitude becomes silo-like, and kids become regarded as property. They're my kid playing for my team, and there's a fear of losing that. And there's also, poaching that goes on, all those things. But
sure,
if you're Switzerland, like you're aspiring to be, you, I think, are willing to live with the results and the decisions of the kids and families that choose to play with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having a facility changes all the math.
It
right?
does,
because
for sure.
At the end of the day, we're trying to bring a lot of people together. We can make our living off of the rentals of everybody being there versus sometimes families or people can be an asset on the line item, on your sheet. So if you lose one player, you can look at that as a dollar value leaving, which is totally fair. If you're making your living and your family's living and all of your employees' livings on that, it becomes very natural to look at it that way. So I think we're very blessed to have alternate revenue and lifestyle streams that we can afford for people to leave if they want to, which they should. They should always go and taste test.
Well, go and taste test too, and not be and want people to stay because of what you offer them and the connection you make with them.
Right.
And again, I know there's shenanigans that go on where there's the approaches that are made maybe that you could question, but in the end, it's their lives. Yeah. And it's their dollars. But Zane, you guys do a lot of things. Like you have massive tournaments.
Yeah. Yeah. We host a lot of them. We are hosts to even more.
Exactly. So you've got massive events going on. You've got leagues going on. You're busy morning to night. And that's up to and including adult leagues as well, which is really cool because I think the Edmonton Basketball Association has been the institution in the city. They do a fantastic job.
Yep.
But as the sport has grown, therefore the appetite has grown too. And also within the adult basketball world, there are desires for something that you address, which is more of an one of your leagues is an elite basketball league where some of the better players that still want to be highly competitive can come together and go after it.
Yeah, that's just a hole or a gap that we happen to find. And I think, a lot of that comes from Brett's relationship with players of his era. Just a league built for guys that were fresh out of college or coming back home from playing pro. They had nobody to play against. You had to wall up and invite your two buddies that happen to go pro,
or go play in an EBA league. That let's be honest here is at that level, at the upper level, is a little more uneven in terms of quality of player.
Hugely uneven.
Yeah. And that's no diss to the players. No. It's just that, like I always tell people, like when you get past your prime and you're not training full time, everything gets spottier and spottier as time goes on.
And then if you have to do that after a long work day and guard a guy that just came back from playing pro, it's a bad experience for both of you.
It could be.
Right. Yes. So that's just unfair to both sides. So yeah, we just have a smaller kind of semi-pro competitive league, whatever you want to call it.
And again, that finding that niche, like you said, finding that gap and trying to fill it. And I think the creativity that Zane and yourself at Legacy are offering is really, really great for the basketball community. Wow. Now you have partnered up for this league that we're going to talk about right now because another gap is 3x3. We really don't have a 3x3 focused effort. Now, there are people in the community that are doing great things. Coach Sam from up north has a marvelous women's 3x3 league. And she just texted me yesterday. And Sam, if you're listening, congratulations to you and all of the girls that are participating in that. Girls Only Club. Jacob Ochecki is doing a fantastic job with his OTB Academy as well. And he is instrumental in our upcoming Hoop City EFCL League. And then again, a collaborator with you guys.
Sure, yeah.
And so, we've got some phenomenal people doing 3x3 stuff. But what you're doing at Legacy, when I say you're partnering up with Denzel James.
Yes.
Great player.
The best.
Great player at McEwen. Here in the city, along with Brett Jakovic. You were referring to Brett. Brett had a phenomenal career at Concordia University. So you've got two ex-players, young guys with ambitions, and Youth Hoops, Inc. is Denzel's group, and they're partnering up with Legacy Athletics to put on our Hoop City 3x3 League. Tell people about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I should say, none of it happens without yourself. I think you're a huge inspiration for all of us that are coming up in the next kind of wave of just looking at what you did for Hoops in the city, and especially for 3x3 in the city, if not, in the West, honestly. But yeah, that was kind of the sparking off point of putting together a 3x3 league, especially in the summer. People are kind of all over the place. They don't have a lot of commitment, but you only need 4 players. Right, you can get your little group together. You can split up a community league team into 2 or 3 teams, and it gets everybody a lot of touches. So we're launching that. We start off July 6th, so coming up here in a couple weeks, and then we have your event downtown that happens right after. So it's a summer of 3x3. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Everybody,
that's right.
Everybody shows up.
It's not the summer of George; it's the summer of 3x3.
That's right. George has had his time.
Well, what I'm hoping people will start to connect the dots on, or start to ponder and consider, Zane, is 5-on-5. Anybody who plays 5-on-5 and is in a coaching situation, most people remember or participate in 3-on-3 in their practices.
Yes,
3-on-3 is a big part of learning the game. The outcome of this, like, let's talk about young people. They're in a 5-on-5 environment. Their coaches are at formal games with officials. They're substituting very formally. We talked about before, if you have 1 or 2 really good players, they're ball dominant. No offense to the good players. It's just the way it is. A lot of kids don't get the touches they want. But seeing this not as it's a decision and it is a competition, but it's also an addition to your development, because you take away the in-game coaching.
Yes.
And now you add the pickup element back into the play where kids now take what they've learned and make their decisions and build their own team chemistry, as opposed to having a coach yelling at them, making substitutions, telling them what to do.
Yep.
You can have a coach there and talk about it afterwards.
Sure.
But it's what did you learn through playing as opposed to what did you learn listening to me talk?
And that's such a massive point that I think goes unnoticed in 3x3, which is why we use it so much in our practices, our development, and we encourage it so much, and why we as coaches and organizers play it ourselves. Don't get really good at running structure. 5-on-5 builds that. Coach can tell you exactly where to go, and they can tell if you're not that good. So you're just there to screen for Johnny or Sally.
Right.
They're really good.
Right.
So you're just there to screen and get out of the way. 3x3, you can't hide. You have to play the game. It's much more sandbox than it is classroom, but very intentionally, right? The kids should have some sandbox time. In fact, they should have 85% sandbox time. I think we way overcoach these children who are there to have some fun, realistically.
Well, great points. And I think if we trickle this down from the organized world of basketball, which is hugely important, but if we're kind of funneling it, both trickling down and funneling up, what we're talking about, to your point about unstructured time, is what we're talking about. Pickup ball, rat ball, however you want to describe it. Harder to find because of gym time. But that also ties into our event with EFCL, is that we're trying to, again, plant it into the community leagues that you don't even have to run an event. You can just send it out to your community. You know what? We're going to have 3x3 available on Saturdays from 10 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
Like, you can do any of those things. But then when you do a formal league like this, like you said, you really get, I think, in some respects, the best of both worlds, of organized structure, but emphasis on unstructured play and individual decision-making and freedom of expression, if you will, on the basketball court.
It really is. Everything is art, right? This is not literally painting, but it's the same concepts. You have a blank canvas and you do something with it, and then you tweak here and there. And why can't basketball be the same way? Just develop in your own way, by yourself or with your peers, and figure out who you are as a person, as a player, instead of you're the three, which means you stand here, and when they pass, you cut here, and then you go over here.
It's surprising to hear how many critics there are that are upper level Hall of Fame caliber former players in the U.S. that are very critical of the AAU model versus, say, the European model, which also has its own issues. But this, I think, is a wedge, a sensible and happy or potentially happy and positive wedge that you can put in the midst of this and say, hey, just go play.
Yes.
Show up. You're going to play 3-on-3. You're going to be able to dribble, pass, and shoot a lot.
Yeah.
And develop your game. Work on your game. I'm going to work on these things in this. So it's going to be great. So again, repeat, if you would, Zane, the age groups.
Yeah.
When it starts, how people register.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have U11 through adults in men's and women's. U11 is where it starts with the boys, U13 for the girls. Boys play on Tuesdays, girls play on Wednesdays. It's as simple as that. The younger age groups start at 6. The older age groups start at 7:30. You go for 90 minutes. We have youth hoops there, of course, as you had mentioned, as a kind of a referee squadron to be out there to keep the games, honest. So there's pickup elements, but it's definitely not rat ball. It's not just show up and just play 3x3.
And that's an important element to add to this, but you're not having, and we have great refs in the city.
Sure.
Yeah. But what this does is this, I think, brings it down also to the grassroots, is you're officiating, but you're also supervising.
Yes.
You just don't want it to get out of control, because people can get hyper competitive if it's call your own foul.
Of course. Yeah. So you need an element of that, which is great. And then we, on the club side, on our Genesis side, have, we're going to put teams in. So we have a practice schedule for Monday. But a big thing that you said was coaches are there, but it's 3x3. So it's not, you don't get 15 timeouts. You're not calling the players over every 5 minutes to draw plays. You're supposed to be letting them play. So there should be a little bit of structure, but not too much.
Well, and I think too, and what I'm hoping the outcome will be is that the coaches are instructed not to talk during the games.
Yep.
But like you said, leading up, fine. Afterwards, fine.
Of course.
But not during.
Yes.
That's supposed to be off limits for the players only.
The sub should be called themselves. These are just
100%.
life skills and sports skills that players need to develop. The confidence to say, hey, sub, I'm in.
Yep.
High five, player comes out,
Yep.
versus looking at the coach or the parent saying, oh, I hope somebody subs soon, right?
Yep.
Or hope somebody subs for me. So yeah, we go Tuesday, Wednesday. We start July 6th. We run for 6 weeks. We take 3 weeks. We take a break, come back for 2, and we end with a big tournament that kind of leads into, some larger scale stuff that I don't know if is announced yet later in the summer.
We'll be talking about that later. So that's great. Zane, that's fantastic. So how do people find out about this?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go on I believe the Hoop City website as well.
Yep.
You can also head to Legacy Athletics. It's plastered all over there, as well as the Youth Hoops website as well. So legacyathletics.ca.
Okay. So you can go to legacyathletics.ca. You can go to Youth Hoops. I believe they're youthhoops.ca as well.
I believe they're .ca or .com. You'll find them.
And then it's 3x3ba.ca. You can find out about this. Please register, folks. It's going to be a great, great time, and it's going to be the start of even greater times coming forward. Thanks for explaining that, Zane, but you're going to stay with us because when we come back, we're going to talk about some more about local sport, but we're also going to get into some of your thoughts on the NBA.
Oh, good to hear.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm Josh Fenwick and myself here on Hoop City are with you on your Sports Leader, Sports 1440. We'll be right back after these messages.
Edmonton's only 24-hour-a-day sports radio station can be heard anytime, anywhere. Sports 1440 is streaming on your phone, your tablet, your computer. Download an app today and listen to Sports 1440.
All the protection you want, none of the weight. Introducing Timberland Pro's Boondock Ultra Light Work Boots, the lightest Boondock yet, with the Timberland durability you expect. Conquer long shifts, move faster, and work safer with all-day comfort in a lightweight package. Find your Boondock Ultralights now at all 3 of our Edmonton job site workwear locations and online at jobsiteworkwear.ca.
Job site workwear, tough people, tough jobs.
The wait is over. The doors have opened. The savings have begun. Lazy Boy Furniture Gallery's biggest sale to date. The savings are unbelievable. After 30 years, Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries are closing both locations to prepare for the contractors. Over $10 million of quality Lazy Boy furniture has been marked down. Interest-free financing is available. Everything must be sold. Don't miss it. The remodeling sale on now at both Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries locations in the West End on 170th and South Edmonton Common.
Saturday mornings live on Sports 1440. Powered by Subaru. Welcome to Uncommon. Visit Subaru.ca.
Around the world, from London,
Tokyo, Japan,
from New York, it's a news center.
London, Tokyo, New York, Ottawa, Sao Paulo. Right now, the world's greatest newsrooms are on the air. BBC World Service, CNN, Fox News Radio, MS Now, AP Radio. Every perspective, every language, every breaking story live on TuneIn. Because when the news is big, one source is never enough. Download the TuneIn app to listen or search news on TuneIn to stay in the know.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
This is Hoop City with Paul Sir on Sports 1440.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry. We did it.
Here's your host, Paul Sir.
I'll tell you, you cannot make up Bob Dylan's voice. And yet, one of the most impactful musicians, musical forces, musical poets in the history of music, certainly in the history of music from, say, 1960 on. I saw a Bob Dylan concert once. My wife and I went, and I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it was in the old arena, which had terrible acoustics. I mean, it was a tough place to listen to a concert because sound's just bouncing all over. But Dylan, there's one song I love. It was actually a Grammy Award-winning song for him that he did for that Michael Douglas, Tobey Maguire film. What was it called? He's a professor. Anyway, great film. Great film. Things Have Changed is the name of the song. Wonderful song. Great video if you ever get a chance to watch it. But about 3/4 of the way through a song, I said, you know what? That's Things Have Changed. I had no ability. He sounded like his voice was awful, just awful. More advanced in years. Everything was almost unrecognizable. It didn't really matter, though, in the moment because it was Bob Dylan doing it live. It was a lot of fun. But last night by the Traveling Wilburys on our Wilburys weekend, back with Zane Sweeney here in bringing Josh back into our conversation. And guys, I think what I'd like to touch on right now, and we were talking off air about some of the reflections on the NBA Finals and the personalities that have emerged in such an interesting way. And before we go to Wemby, I'm going to start with Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson, to me, is one of the great storylines, and that almost trivializes how I perceive him. He's not a storyline. He is a man of substance. 6'2". He's not 6'2". He's 6 foot. He's 6 foot
He's
tall.
5'10".
He could be. We don't know. But people I know that know him and have seen him say he's 6 foot. And maybe that's in shoes. But what he did, because the guy's not super athletic, he's not lightning fast, not lightning quick, is never going to dunk at all, much less on you. And with all of the emphasis in the NBA on analytics, on metrics, on length, on reach, and I know they matter. But there's a guy, it always comes back to, you can't measure heart, number one, it's skill and hard work and preparation for the moment. My final, comment would be, when I view the Spurs, and we've used this on this show before, Josh, the Spurs look like they might be able to take the elevator to success, where the Knicks have had to they've had to climb the ladder, 2 rungs up, 1 rung back. Have success, have failure, go through the highs and the lows to finally arrive at this moment and then meet the challenge of this moment, up to and including the final game when both teams were really struggling offensively. But who emerges, Zane? Jalen Brunson, 45 points. 45 points in the deciding game on the opponent's court. Massive. Right.
Massive game. I mean, a life-changing game, a legacy-changing game. A good friend of mine who's a basketball opinion I trust a lot texted me after saying he is the biggest equivalent he can think of is Yamamoto in baseball for Jalen Brunson as an elite level closer. A guy, when you see his number called, and I lived it, I went to Game 7, Blue Jays versus Dodgers.
You were there?
I was there.
Oh my God.
In person.
We're not worthy. This is
I thought I was sick to my stomach after that game. I can't even imagine what you were doing in the city.
That must have been just insane.
Top 5 and bottom 5 nights of my life, for multiple reasons. But I say all that to say, when Yamamoto came out, it was like Darth Vader coming out. I mean, the entire place shrunk. You could hear his name everywhere because we knew, a killer was coming. And Brunson has that kind of feel at the end of games. He is just systematic. He is inevitable. And yes, he has some stumbles for sure. 45.
Everybody does. And the thing that I love about Brunson is he is, to me, the epitome of the modern athlete. The stumbles mean nothing. They just mean you got to go on to the next play and make something good happen. He does not dwell on anything. Josh, you were going to make a couple of comments.
Well, sure. I just want to touch on Brunson. He's led the NBA postseason and fourth quarter scoring for the last 5 years. He's been to the finals once.
Right.
That
Incredible.
is psychotic. Like
It
that,
is.
Like you want to, you're right. Elite closer saying like that is absolutely unreal. And like, how do you find that? Like, how do you, as a guy, just are like, fourth quarter means nothing to me? Actually, as a matter of fact, I will score more in the fourth than everybody else.
I will score more with the other team doing more to stop me from scoring more.
Mhm.
And I will still find ways to get it done. And what I love in the fourth quarter with Brunson, and I alluded to this in my opening remarks, Josh.
No fear.
You've got, if it's a three,
Mhm.
open three on a catch on somebody else, a penetrating kick to him, open three, he'll hit it. If it's a side step three, he'll hit it. If it's a three over Wemby, he'll hit it. But if it means having Castle up in his body, 45 feet away from the basket with help coming from all directions, he will still find a way with the ball to get him on his hip and control him. And that can be a pull-up jump shot at the free throw line. It can be a teardrop in the lane. It can be getting all the way to the rim on the right or left side. It doesn't matter. What his expertise and where he separates himself literally from every other player in the NBA in this era right now is he will punish you for whatever glimmer of light you give him. He will take advantage of it. And he'll take advantage of it in the most pressure-packed situations.
Yeah, he has all the tools. You can't stop him. Full stop. You can key in on him. He'll make the right pass. But his ability to play off 2 feet down low and not panic, just make a choice. And he's ready for it. But it's slow motion for him. You can just tell. He's just ready. And to your point, how does that happen? I don't know if that's God-given. Rick Brunson is famous for the videos of training young Jalen Brunson like in the city. I don't know if that's from birth, just hard training by an NBA level guy, or the Lord.
I'll give you a couple of examples of God-given.
That's God-given.
Joe Mauer, who played with Sean Sweeney and my son Steve at Cretin-Derham Hall High School in St. Paul, Minnesota. Joe was the National Player of the Year in football, National Player of the Year in baseball.
Wow.
First team All-State in basketball.
Okay.
Not bad.
And he never touched a ball from the last season to the fourth game of his senior season from grade 11. Never touched a basketball. He's just God-given. When he was a little guy, his parents would take him out into the yard and they would take little pebbles, and Joe would have a thin stick, just a stick from a tree, and they'd toss him pebbles and he was just whacking it out of the yard. Just God-given. Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
God-given. He reminds me of Brunson in the way, not big, not strong, not super fast.
Doesn't even look like an athlete.
No, I mean, I saw one of those really horrible 1980s TV shows where they had like tournament of the sports competitions of the stars and they had a sprint.
Oh, against Pele and all them, right?
Yeah, and the awful shorts and socks of the era, and all of that. Gretzky wasn't pretty to watch run, but he was beautiful to watch skate, and it was his God-given sense for the game that he could lift the puck off the ice just enough to get it over the stick and onto the stick of his teammate.
Just a fun fact to throw in there.
Yeah.
He got the nickname the Great One because he scored 200 goals when he was like 11 against other 11-year-olds, and someone just gave it to him, and it stuck. Just so you know.
And God-given, yes, but you have to. The hard work has to accompany it. Obviously, it happened. So we're talking about Brunson in glowing terms. Final on that with the New York Knicks. Let's just touch on OG Anunoby and his emergence. And here's the connector that I love the most about both Brunson and Anunoby. They're humble guys.
Yeah.
They're not. They're in the spotlight in the way I think in a way that I think should be celebrated because they're not celebrating themselves being in the spotlight. That's what I love about them. OG, after he had the tip in, there was this great court level shot rather, of Brunson and OG's Anunoby on his great tip in Game 4. Neither of them even smiled. They just looked around and they're looking about, okay, what do we have to do now to win the game? These incredible people. But OG's emergence, Josh, on the offensive end, I think to me, that was one of the many difference makers in this series.
The story of the playoffs. I mean, he was, I think, the Knicks' best player through the entirety of the playoffs. No disrespect to Cat or McHale or anybody, even though McHale struggled. at the beginning of the playoffs. But
You
he
mean
was
the best player not named Brunson or the better than Brunson?
best player not named Brunson.
Okay.
Best player not
Sure.
named
All
Brunson.
right. Thank
Yeah,
you.
second best player on the team.
Okay.
But-
Absolutely.
yeah. And he was averaging 20 points. I remember us bringing it up on a Saturday, and I said that the Knicks' success you can attribute to OG Anunoby because he was doing like 22 points a night on 60, 50, 90 shooting.
Incredible.
Or
Incredible
60,
numbers.
50. I don't know if I got that mixed up. OG Anunoby is incredible. And the fact that like it also speaks loud to how many people actually watch the Raptors. Because they're like, oh my God, OG Anunoby, how is he so clutch? I'm like, remember when he caught a 3 like mid-air and laced it in the bubble in the playoffs? Like, I remember that. They still lost to the Celtics, but like, he doesn't shoot to miss. That was his quote after the game. He doesn't shoot to miss. So yes, OG Anunoby is big coming out party because nobody watches Toronto sports.
Well, nobody watches Toronto sports, but I think, he's so understated, Zane, that he's one of those guys that when he's out there after the game's over and he's got 19 and 8 and he's locked down the opponent's best player, he does things that aren't always gaudy or flashy in terms of numbers, but he just goes about his business methodically and incrementally has improved year on year to get to this point where now he is, as Josh correctly points out, the second best player on the NBA championship team.
Very lunch pail type of team, very New York style, I guess, of
couldn't be a better team to fit the personality of the city.
100%. And alongside him is another player that shares that energy, and maybe my favorite Nick right now, which is Josh Hart.
Josh Hart's glue
who
guy.
Will shoot 10 if the team needs him, and he'll shoot 0 if the team needs him. Whatever you need, he's there to do. So if you have Anunoby and you have a guy like Hart next to him, 2 maniacs that will die on the floor, literally, for each other, I think that frees up Anunoby to give a little bit more on offense than he's been allowed to in the past. And opportunity met him, and he was ready for it. But like you were saying, he has been ready. People have just forgotten about him because he wasn't on nationally televised games for a while.
Well, nationally televised games, then he's understated. You're absolutely right. I think, the point on Josh Hart, final comment on the Knicks, then we'll take a couple of minutes on the Spurs, is that Josh Hart, the Villanova connection, of course, with Bridges, Hart, and Brunson is huge. But Josh Hart is just that the quintessential glue guy.
Yep.
Whatever you need done, 0 points, 8 rebounds, lockdown defense, muck things up, I'll do that. If I'm open, I'll take the 3 because I've been told to and people believe in me and they want me to. Streak shooter, absolutely.
Yep.
One shot goes in, the next one bricks off the side of the backboard. That's how he shoots.
He might just get his own rebound
he
and put
might,
it in.
He might, but he's relentless. And again, in game 4, he had 2 critical mistakes. Missed a wide open layup. He kind of cuffed that one. And then there was a defensive play too that could have been very, very costly on Hart's part. But just like Brunson, relentless, just relentless. That relentlessness. And then combined with Mike Brown's coaching style. And I feel for Tibbs. Thibodeau, crotchety, old school to a point. But it's one of those situations where really not by design, but by pure luck with Mike Brown, the right guy who was about 10th on the list of the Knicks to hire, last resort kind of hire. They knew they had to get rid of Tibbs to get over the hump. Tibbs established so many great things in this organization in terms of toughness, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. But he ran his guys into the ground, his starters into the ground.
Yeah.
Brown comes in. I think he really freed up guys, kind of like Steve Kerr did with
when Mark Jackson left.
Yeah, when Mark Jackson left, absolutely. So, just a great story, fantastic story. What a parade! The Toronto parade was great. Well, what a parade, New York!
The pictures you got from the Toronto or the New York parade, unbelievable,
unreal. Okay, so going on to the San Antonio Spurs, everybody agrees what a great young talented team. I'm going to say Wemby for last. I'm going to talk about Dylan Harper. Best player by far for the Spurs in Game 5. Absolutely. Yet Yet the decision was made by Mitch Johnson to keep the ball running through De'Aaron Fox's hands. Didn't work. Didn't work out. Now next year, though, like people are clamoring for De'Aaron Fox to be traded. He's not going to be traded. They can't get rid of that contract. That kind of contract with that kind of performance, unless they want to just get him off the books and are willing to take very little value to get him out.
Sure.
But then becomes the problem. They're going to have to eat a lot of his salary for another team to even take him. He's not like he's a bad player. He did have a bad finals.
Yes.
He would, but the point has been made. They would never have gotten to the finals had it not been for De'Aaron Fox. The guy can still play. But now you have with Dylan Harper, one of the brilliant young rookies. I mean, you have Con Kneppel and
Cooper Flagg.
Cooper Flagg battling it out for Rookie of the Year. But maybe in the end, the best player out of this group may end up being Dylan Harper down the road. You don't know, but he's phenomenal. How do you not start him next year? And who do you sit if you do start him? I have an idea, but what would you do? Would you start him? And if you did, Zane, who would you sit?
Oh, wow. Well, I think the obvious leading choice is maybe you sit De'Aaron Fox for him. That's just going to, I think, dynamite your team, to bring him in. But if you're looking to give De'Aaron maybe that shot in the arm, maybe you do put the rookie, well, I guess the sophomore now, over him and see where the chips will fall. Because I know he's been a little questionable behind the scenes.
Dylan's surprisingly chatty in the wrong way behind the scenes. And, those are things that you hate to hear. But then again, we don't know what's really being said and how it's being said.
Exactly.
We're just dealing with social media nonsense.
Right. For better or for worse.
How about you, Josh? Who would you sit?
Sit Steph Castle. It's fine. Dylan Harper is a good defender. He does all the same things that Steph Castle does. Maybe he has a more reliable mid-range shot, I would say. And I'd say they're about on par from beyond the arc. Steph Castle made some good shots. Dylan Harper made some good shots. But they're both gritty defenders. And I think that's really the identity that the Spurs are trying to build. And I think Dylan Harper has the confidence to really take over a game on the offensive side of the ball while not forgetting about his responsibilities on the defensive side of the ball.
Well put. And what's great about this conversation is we're going to have three different choices.
You're sitting Devin Vassell?
I would not start Vassell. And here's why. Very specifically. He deserves to be a starter. But what a great sixth man.
Right.
Because he's such a high energy player and he's such a mucker. If you bring Vassell off the bench, what he will do compared, for instance, to Johnson, who was the sixth man of the year, I would rather bring Vassell in for one of the three guards and bring that kind of energy into the game first off the bench, because I think Castle is a better, as long as he doesn't have to be the primary ball handler and get 20 turnovers in 2 games. But I think I think Castle has more of a starter's game. And I think Vassell has an adaptable game that his energy can come in and he can give you 20 to 30 minutes off the bench and give you a real lift energy wise. That would be my choice.
I propose to you, Steph Castle, starter's game. Lou Williams, starter's game. Came off the bench his entire career because he was worse as a starter. I mean, he was actually worse as a starter. His numbers went down because he was going up against elites more, but you play him starters minutes coming off the bench. I don't think you can take Devin Vassell out of the starting lineup because you need that 3-point spacing for the entire team, particularly if like De'Aaron Fox doesn't have a super reliable 3-point shot, nor does Dylan Harper or Steph Castle if they stay in. Julian Champagny, good 3-point shooter.
Real good.
Was 3-point shooter.
3-point shooter.
Yeah. Victor Wembanyama, yes, he can shoot the 3 ball and he can shoot it reliably, but his job is to be close to the rim. And Mitch Johnson, you have to get him closer to the rim.
We're going to take a break and stay with us for this next segment because I think we're going to spend the whole segment talking about Wemby. So this will be fun. You're listening to Hoop City. Paul Sir, Josh Fenwick, and Zane Sweeney here on your sports leader, Sports 1440. We'll be right back.
Own and run a small business? Innovative Benefits provides private health service plan setup, as well as administration services for businesses like yours. But the best part is, Innovative Benefits offers benefit plans that cost less than the industry average, 20 to 40% less. And they provide 100% coverage with no insurance company rules, administration, or interference. So if you have medical, dental, or healthcare expenses, their plans will always increase your cash flow. Visit innovativebenefits.ca for more.
Step onto the field of dreams and into sporting glory. Join the Riverhawks Community Foundation on August 22nd for the Field of Dreams Festival at Remax Field. This isn't just any event. It's an adult baseball camp featuring former Toronto and Edmonton baseball star Devon White. Swing for the fences from 5 to 10:30 p.m. while supporting local youth sports. Upgrade to VIP for an exclusive meet and greet. Secure your spot today at riverhawksfoundation.ca.
Running a business is tough. Finding new customers shouldn't be. Stop chasing leads. Let them come to you with Stingray, offering you access to more digital, outdoor, and traditional advertising platforms, including radio, connected TV, search and social, programmatic, digital advertising, and digital out of home. So while you're closing the next deal, Stingray is working for you to deliver more leads, more customers, more sales. It's that easy. Get started now at stingraymediasolutions.com and always be closing.
Saturday mornings live on Sports 1440. Powered by Subaru. A top safety pick for unmatched peace of mind. Visit Subaru.ca.
Get ready, outdoor enthusiasts, for the Kalmar Gun Show. Head to the Kalmar Hockey Arena today from 10 till 6, tomorrow 10 till 3 for the premier event to buy, sell, and trade the best in hunting and sporting gear. Visit huntmaniashows.com.
What sports talk on the go?
You can listen to 1440 on the AM dial or stream us on your mobile device through apps like Radio Player, iHeart, and Stingray Music.
Edmonton sports fans,
turn to Sports 1440.
1440. This is Hoop City with Paul Sir on Sports 1440.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! We did it!
Here's your host, Paul Sir.
Welcome back to Hoop City. Paul Sir, Zane Sweeney, Sports 1440. That was the Traveling Wilburys. That was Roy Orbison's one solo track with the Traveling Wilburys. And what was interesting in a very sad way was Roy Orbison passed away during the recording or just after the recording of the Traveling Wilburys' first album. And if you watch the video of the last song that we'll play today, The End of the Line, the tribute that the Wilburys made to Roy Orbison was to have his guitar in a rocking chair while his voice was, of course, dubbed in because they're lip syncing anyway. But Roy Orbison, 4 octaves, unbelievable hits, and the blend of his beautiful, pure voice with Dylan's raspy voice, along with all of the other talent on the Traveling Wilburys, made it so much fun. We're here. We're talking about the Spurs right now and the New York Knicks. We've gone through the Knicks. We've touched on the Spurs and who we would bench if we wanted to start Dylan Harper. But let's talk about the big guy, the alien. Everybody, of course, fawning all over Victor Wembanyama. Had a great, overall, when you look at his impact, the only reason the Spurs won 60 games, the reason that they got to the NBA Finals, it settles on Victor Wembanyama, a marvelous athlete, skilled, graceful, a shot, a beautiful pure jump shot, a tremendous foul shooter, fantastic shot blocker. When you watch the way the opponents are playing, and whenever they go to the basket, everybody's always looking for where is Victor Wembanyama. They are always apprehensive and worried about that, as they should be. And he had some historic performances. However, rookie mistake in game 2 on the rebound. As the game's winding down, he makes an errant pass into the back of Stefan Castle, ends up costing them the game. Came back, they won game 3 in New York, and they were rolling New York after the first half, up 27 in game 4, go up 29 in quarter number 3, and then the wheels come off. One of the reasons the wheel came off, 2 of the reasons. One, horrible shot selection by the entire team, including Wemby, of just chucking up soft contested threes as the and I often talk about this, Zane. When you're shooting and you're in a zone, the basket looks like it's the size of a rain barrel. When you're tight and the ball's not going in, it looks the size of a golf cup on a putting green. And you could certainly see the throat tightening on all of the Spurs in the second half, but they did not respond. And Josh, you were talking about it emphatically and off. Like, why doesn't Wemby get down in the block? It's a good question.
I mean, he needs to get down in the block. And I think back to game 2 of the finals where the Spurs were down 14 and they came back, and Wemby, I think, had 10 of their 14 points, made up 10 of the 14 points. And I think all but one of them was within like 5 feet of the basket. He definitely made a 3, but
you're right. He was around the hoop.
He was around the hoop. He had some great post spins and whatever, and was just getting it in there. And I know what's been brought up regarding Wemby and all-time greats is the move. You need a move. Hakeem had the dream shake. Kobe had his fadeaway, right? Like, even if you look at guys right now, like Tim Duncan had his back to the basket and then turn around, bank it in. Same with Kevin Garnett, had a reliable mid-range shot. Trae Young right now has a floater that nobody seems to stop. Same with Jalen Brunson. Wemby doesn't have that thing. You need something that you can reliably go to all the time to get your team out of a funk. And his is 110% a post move because he is 7'4". That being said, I do think there's something to be added here in Mitch Johnson and his ability to call plays coming out of a timeout. I'm betting Declan talked to you about it last week, Paul, because we both were very angry about just the lack of post touches that would come from a timeout, because Wemby would be in the post and they would use it as like what's the word I'm looking for here? A fake out, a decoy. Yep. It was like, oh yeah, we're going to put Wemby in the low post. We're going to have him run around a little bit. And then we're going to kick it out to Dylan Harper or De'Aaron Fox or Steph Castle or whoever it is. And then we'll get him a look from 19 feet. No, he's 7'4". Throw it to him. Like, he'll get up and get it.
And at times he did in traffic for sure. Zane, your thoughts?
I had mentioned this as we kind of came out of the break about the concept of, leading a horse to water. Mitch obviously has some to blame. Watching Wemby, he's not dictating his own game. He's allowing the defense to dictate his tempo. He gets pushed out from down low and he just settles at the mid and the 3. Mm-hmm. I doubt that's the game plan. I would love, a closed door, no mics, no camera conversation with the coaching staff with the Spurs to see maybe their ATOs are for him to get down there and he's not teeing up well enough and the Knicks just did a good job of taking away. Maybe they're trying to avoid him getting injured because I know there was a lot of questionable stuff with his hips and his knees down low when he was jumping, getting pushed around. I don't know what it was, but at the end of the day, it's Wemby's responsibility to be a best player, to be a star, and to just be simply 7'4". Demand it down there.
You guys make great points. I'll layer some thoughts in. Number one, I don't think Wemby physically at 22 years old with the kind of body that he has, and he added relative to his body. Yeah. He added a lot of muscle this year, but he's still 7'4", 225. Yeah. I mean, he's still a slight player in a very, very physical game. Very, very physical game. in a league that has gone back to allowing almost old school physicality.
little
And I
bit.
hate that word. Old school physical play. I hate physicality. It's the most annoying word in sport. But old school physical play. That's number one. But number two is his conditioning. He is not, I don't think, physically ready to play 44 to 48 minutes a game. He does not have that kind of body. If I have a comment on Wemby's ability to become one of the greatest players of all time, my biggest fear is injury.
Yeah.
Because he's on the ground many, many times every game. That is not going to work. If he is off balance that much, falls or gets knocked down that much, that is going to take its toll. Look at Giannis Antetokounmpo and the way his game has eroded as he, through physical play, just has had more and more injuries. Like Wemby's 22 now. He's going to be, he won't be that forever, and that this is going to take its toll. I think a lot of it is his own mindset. He started out the year playing closer to the basket, and that's one of the reasons the Spurs had such great success. I don't think the Spurs ran actions to put him in positions to get in the low block, and I go back to something as basic and as simple as the old Stockton Malone cross screen, where Stockton would come across, set a dirty screen on Malone's defender, and Carl would be able to shape up in the low block and get the ball. That's a very mindful, purposeful way to get him the ball. Spurs don't do that. They immediately go to the perimeter. Wemby's out there running screens. And then Wemby loves to get the ball and shake and bake.
Yeah.
And, you know, and when he makes a great move and a great shot, it's like, my God, the guy's unbelievable. We've never seen anything like it. It's the logo 3 in game 1. Yeah, absolutely. Phenomenal. Never seen anything like it. But that's not what's going to make him great. What's going to make him unstoppable? We were talking off screen. It'll never happen. If he had the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar skyhook, unstoppable. If he had Tim Duncan's turnaround, unstoppable. If he has a mid-range pull-up as opposed to getting all the way to the hoop and throwing something up at the basket, unstoppable. Then you get into the lobs and the purposeful way that you can run offenses to get Wemby actively engaged in the low block, which will make it'll do two things. It'll make his outside game easier. And number two, you can play a lot more inside out in the Spurs because everybody's going to be throwing people at him and you're going to have somebody open for the 3-point shot. So Mitch Johnson, I think, has he has probably learned a lot of lessons because let's not forget, he's the first coach that is not named Greg Popovich in a long time. And he's basically 38 or 39 years old. Like, he's a young guy. His father also was a great University of Iowa player. John Johnson, involved in the greatest college game I ever saw. 104-103 Iowa against Jacksonville with Artis Gilmore. Back in the day with downtown Freddie Brown when there was no 3-point play. Unbelievable game. His dad was a great player for the Cleveland Cavaliers. One of the great University of Iowa players. And everybody knows I'm an Iowa homer. So, all right, guys. Final question before we have to go to break. Will Giannis Antetokounmpo be traded before the trade deadline? Or before the draft this week?
Oh, before the draft.
Before the draft.
Wow.
No.
No?
Because I think this is a multi-team deal. This isn't a one team interacting with another team. There's going to be a lot of moving pieces here. And as an addition, I think Jaylen Brown will be moved from the Boston Celtics as well.
I agree. That's great.
Before the draft.
Not before the draft.
Okay,
I don't think they're going to get the deal done before the draft because that's next Friday, right? Next Saturday. They got
It's Thursday, I think, right?
Oh, there we go. It's next week. Anyways, there's going to be a lot of moving pieces to this Giannis deal. And I think there's going to be a lot of the Bucks going, no, we need more.
That's why I think it'll drag out maybe almost to that trade deadline. I think the world also wants to see Giannis put 4 months in a row together on the court without falling down and holding his calf. So I wouldn't be trading for him until I see him at least play through January.
By the way, from ESPN Milwaukee, Giannis wants to stay in Milwaukee, but
classic
doesn't want to stay on the Bucks.
Okay.
You want to play for the Brewers?
The
Do the Michael Jordan
the
thing?
Lynx, like the Lynx play there, right?
Give him 5 days.
The Minnesota Lynx, the WNBA team. Like
They play over in Milwaukee on occasion.
Okay, yeah. Like, how does he
They
want to
can go
stay in the area?
Yeah, he's
Why
gonna
not?
be the sixth arm in the
Why not?
bullpen. So that tells me he's getting traded to Boston. I think he's keeping his house in Milwaukee, and he's just gonna commute.
You know,
Like a
he
madman.
could because his kids are in school there, and he's a very family-oriented guy.
I think his kids are in Greece. Actually, I think he's the only member of his family, like his wife and children. I think they moved to Greece.
Oh, wow. That's
At the beginning of the season too, like before the
Okay.
season started.
Okay. Learn something new every day. Here's what I think is he's going to be traded by the draft.
Wow.
I think the Bucks are going to come to the realization that they missed their window 2 years ago with Giannis. That they're going as Bill Simmons says, you're going to have to trade 2 dimes for a quarter.
Right.
And I think that's what's going to happen with him. They're not going to get the value. Very well could be a multi-team deal, as you point out, Josh. I think the leading candidate is Boston.
Boston, yeah.
I don't think it's Miami. So many of the packages that have been offered are like laughable.
Yeah.
They're just nothing. They make the Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar trade back in the day look great, and that was a brutal trade for the Bucks. But I think I think it's going to get done because I think it has to. And I think the Bucks are going to be looking. The other team that comes into play here, which is the other 2 teams that come into play here because they do have some desirable assets, are Houston and OKC, which is very interesting. That OKC, because the OKC has $1 billion draft picks.
Yeah.
And it might just whet their appetite enough to try to do something crazy, although I can't see that very
They'd have to
smart.
trade Chet, right?
Probably
For the salary match,
Probably.
$50 million for $50 million.
Yeah, and that to me would be lunacy. But I think the deal's going to be done because I just don't think the Bucks can afford to wait because a embittered trade value dropping Giannis starting the season with them, I think is just too big of a risk. Then they're going to have to do a fire sale. So that's what I'm looking for. It'll be interesting to unfold because it's just it's the gift that keeps on giving, but that we're all sick of.
Oh
It's
my
the
God.
Jello. It's the Jello and marshmallow salad. It's really getting old, So I'm tired of it.
Yeah, he's just got to go.
He's got to go. He's got to move on. League's got to move on. We're going to take a break right now. Zane Sweeney, Legacy Athletics. Thanks so much for joining us and shooting the breeze with us today.
Thanks for having me.
We have the Legacy 3x3 tournament. You can go to Legacy's website. You can sign up. It starts July 6th. It's the Hoop City 3x3 league. And we're excited to have you here today and look forward to lots of registrations for it. All the best, Zane. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
We're going to take a break right now and bring it home on our Traveling Wilbury weekend here on Hoop City with Paul Sir, Josh Fenwick. Thanks to Zane Sweeney on your Sports Leader, Sports 1440.
The wait is over. The doors have opened. The savings have begun. Lazy Boy Furniture Gallery's biggest sale to date. The savings are unbelievable. After 30 years, Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries are closing both locations to prepare for the contractors. Over $10 million of quality Lazy Boy furniture has been marked down. Interest-free financing is available. Everything must be sold. Don't miss it. The remodeling sale on now at both Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries locations in the West End on 170th and South Edmonton Common.
Being out on the water on a hot summer day, there's nothing like it. Hi, it's Shannon from Conlon Motorsports. At any of our 4 locations, we have a wide selection of premium boats and pontoons, perfect for water sports, fishing, or just relaxing. High-performance motors and jet skis when you're ready to turn up the excitement. Plus, all the accessories you need to gear up and go. Make great memories on the water this year with Conlon Motorsports. Everything you need here to get out there. Visit us today at conlonmotorsports.ca.
Stay in the know with news on TuneIn. TuneIn brings together news stations from around the world so you can hear what's happening as it happens. From breaking updates to in-depth coverage, it's all in one place. Listen to stations like CNN, BBC World Service, Fox News Radio, MS Now, Sky News, and more to stay connected wherever you are. When the story changes, you'll hear it first. Download the TuneIn app to listen or search news on TuneIn to stay in the know.
Saturday mornings live on Sports 1440. Powered by Subaru. Built for real-life confidence. Visit Subaru.ca. This is Hoop City with Paul Sir on Sports 1440.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! We did it!
Here's your host, Paul Sir.
Save the best for last on our Traveling Wilbury weekend. End of the line by the Traveling Wilburys. And again, what a great video that is. Listen to their music, watch their videos. A lot of fun from an era gone by. Josh, some really good discussions about the NBA. So let's bring it home with a couple of things. And I'm going to jump over real quickly to the WNBA. The other night, the Atlanta Dream played against the Indiana Fever in Indiana, and the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese rivalry was revived.
It continues.
Angel was trash talking. Any pretense that Angel likes Caitlin, those are out the door. I certainly could say vice versa. And in fact, they're playing right now.
Caitlin Clark, 13 points currently.
Caitlin's been playing much, much better as time goes on. Still has too many turnovers, but leads the league in assists. Her scoring's going up. Fever are still a bit uneven, but they're getting better and better over an elongated WNBA season. Last night, the Toronto Tempo beat the Connecticut Sun behind Marina Mabry's 37 points, franchise record. I'll tell you what, she is fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
She is tough, and she can flat out play. And this Tempo team at 500 or thereabouts is a fun watch. They play really hard, do a lot of wonderful things, and they have a star in Marina Mabry.
Yeah, they do.
And it's great to see the WNBA off to such an interesting and fun start in Toronto, although Kia Nurse has pretty much been relegated to the 9th or 10th spot in the lineup. But I think that's more indicative of the stage of her career that she's at. She's played for so long, has done and is doing such phenomenal things, not just on the basketball court, but in the broadcast booth. And, I think that Kia's, her career has been wildly successful, but she's in her exit strategy. And to be part of the Toronto Tempo, to be part of her hometown team is really, really special. So drafts coming up. Who do you have as the number one draft pick?
I still have AJ DeBonsa. However, this Darren Peterson thing interests me.
In what respect?
Well, he only worked out with and interviewed with the Wizards, who obviously have the number one overall pick. And now draft experts are saying, well, the Wizards may select Darren Peterson with the first overall pick. The fact that he only took one meeting, I would say AJ DeBonsa should be the first overall pick, and that is my first overall pick.
And I would agree with you. Here's what I hope. Washington is noted for its ridiculously bad decision-making. Mm-hmm. Now, Peterson might end up being a phenomenal NBA player. He might be. But, of course, we both know, and we all know, there's red flags waving all over the place with this guy. Very bizarre year at Kansas. Talent, unquestionable. People that know him, a lot of people speak very, very positively of who the young man is. And again, I feel sorry for any 18 or 19-year-old now and all the weird voices they've had in their ears since they were identified as elite prospects, as Peterson was. But if Washington were to choose him, wouldn't it be interesting to have DeBonsa go to Utah and play in the city where that invested so heavily with him at BYU? I think that'd be kind of a cool story, to be honest. And I think the Jazz are on the upswing. And so I think it's going to be real interesting. I think everybody pretty much has Cam Boozer as number 3 going to Memphis. And then Caleb Wilson as the number 4 pick. And then after that, a whole bunch of guards going to be coming up. So it's going to be a lot of fun this week to get back to the
point guard draft.
Point guard draft, not a lot of wings. Wings are more in the free agency, led by Austin Reeves out of the Lakers. We didn't even get a chance to talk about that. We'll do that next week.
Yeah.
The song playing right now is called David's Song, and it was written by my son Ben, who passed away over 3 years ago. Ben battled trauma and addiction through his life. And in spite of all the demons that were in my son's life, through it all, Ben always made sure he valued others more than himself, and he was kind to others, particularly those that were in the darkest times of their life. And every week I pay tribute to my son, Ben, and the beautiful soul he was and the way that he treated people, and use that as an inspiration that I would offer to you to treat those in your life that you love with respect and dignity, and those in your life who you don't know that you encounter with that same respect and dignity. We don't walk in our brothers and sisters' shoes. We don't know what they're going through. But please be kind above all else. Have a great week on and off the court. Exciting NBA draft that we'll be able to talk about next weekend. Thank you so much for listening today. Josh, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. I'm looking forward to next week already.
I am too. This has been Hoop City with Paul Sir, Josh Fenwick on your sports leader, Sports 1440.
Hey, Gary, is that your dad?
No, this is Evan, the new sales rep I hired.
Oh.
First impressions matter, but when hair loss takes over, it can feel like you're not being seen for the maverick you truly are. Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. At Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery, we know that hair